pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This session of the Lincoln County Commission on March the 18th, 2010 at 10 a.m. is now called to order. Members present: Donald C. Whitten, Clerk; Charles McCann, President; Charles Vance, Commissioner; Thomas Ramey, Jr., Commissioner. First thing on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session of the Lincoln County Commission meeting that was held on March the 4th, 2010 at 6 p.m.
Motion.
Second.
Been motion and second, to be an all yes vote. Motion carries.
Next thing on the agenda under discussion and concern is Dr. Lauren Smith.
Welcome, Dr. Smith.
Thank you. I would like to ask Board Member Rick McDowell also to join me.
Sure.
I'm here to relate to you progress in the Farmland Protection Board, which you adopted the program for in early 2007. First of all, as a board member and chairperson, along with Rick, who is one of the 7 board members, we're very appreciative for Lincoln County's forward-looking feeling about farmland protection. Let me just very briefly say what it's about. Farmland Protection Board is a means of protecting the heritage of farms. Nationally, we have lost, or we are losing, 1 acre every 2 minutes in the United States of America. West Virginia has lost 17,000 farms in the past 40 years. The United States Congress and the state of West Virginia legislature have promoted bills in this regard. In 2000 and finally in 2002, with a revision of that, they unanimously passed a law in this favor. Not many laws, not many bills get such treatment. Because in West Virginia, starting in Jefferson County, which is in the D.C. suburb area, there was a realization of the loss of farms. It's just house development after house development. It quickly spread, and to this point, there are 17 counties in the state of West Virginia. Your own Lincoln County happens to be an island with all the surrounding counties have not been involved in this issue. However, with this, we can preserve the heritage of farms. What it means is that we buy easement or take donation of an easement from a farm in which it is decreed that in perpetuity, forever and ever, that farm will not be divided into housing lots. We'll never encroach upon housing availability or housing development. But if we can preserve the farm heritage, we feel it's important, especially now for local produce, which can be grown. We can preserve wildlife habitat. We can preserve stream integrity, scenic vistas. We can protect natural resources, including our own drinking water. And we, again, are appreciative for your effort. Our board functions, and Rick, I'm just going to mention a few, and then you can come in and pick up anything I fail to mention. Here's what's involved in this. As we secure an easement with a farmer, either by donation or by the actual value or somewhere between, which is called a bargain sale, we have to go through a lot of steps which require legal functioning. After the inception of this in the spring of 2007, we finally got going in the late 2007 era with our board members, and this is what we need to do. To function, we need a relationship with the state authority. The state authority comes under the Department of Agriculture, Steve Hanna, Deputy Commissioner, and there is a state authority director. We meet with her. We are also a member of the West Virginia Society of Farmland Board Protection other county units. We have developed our own code of ethics and procurement policy so that we work on a high standard. We have secured legal representation in the form of Ronald Salmons, who meets with us regularly to make sure we're doing things correctly. We have developed documents which relate to model easement deeds, which is unique to Lincoln County. For example, we feel like that woodland is a replenishable supply, that Lincoln County farms want to sell selective amount of wood, of their timber, and so we permit that in our deed, which we have a right to do. Understand, with these deeds, we must closely follow federal guidelines so that there is tax advantage granted as the feds allow that to be. We have developed what's called a baseline evaluation, in which a farm, when it is bought or donated, we must attest to those unique qualities of that farm, geologically, historically, the woodland areas, carefully note all the demarcation of the property boundaries so that in future monitoring, and that's another part, we have to monitor annually to see that farms remain intact, that all of this is known in the beginning in a baseline evaluation, and that requires a specialist to do that sort of thing. We have to have the monitoring program, as I mentioned, and we're beginning to work on that. Then the appraisal comes in. How do you pay for an easement? Well, you've granted us the privilege of getting $2.20 per thousand at time of sale on that stamp issue. And at this point, since March or so of 2007, we now have about, are we approaching 100,000, 90-some thousand dollars. Let me mention at the same time, the federal government will share 50-50 with us, and so if we get 100,000, they'll give us 100,000 if our procedure is correct and approved by NRCS, Natural Resources Conservation Service. Now, that's the division of the U.S. Department of Ag that deals with this. Well, that money, let's say 100,000 we're talking about, if we have that, then we get 100,000 from the feds, and we pay a farmer for his easement, that is the restriction on his deed, that in which it must be maintained in perpetuity as a farm. We're talking about $200,000, which is injected into the local economy again. So we feel like it's a stimulus there as well. That appraisal issue is no simple thing. It's a three-part appraisal. It's the value of the property before it was restricted by that deed restriction. It's after, with the deed restriction, what the value would be. And the third issue is, and Rick's the expert on this, is how it affects the contiguous neighbors if they're family related. For instance, what it does to the value of their property in relation to what's being done here. I know that's confusing, but that requires a very complex appraisal situation. Let me give you just one quick example. Let's say you have a farm and the farmer says, yes, I want to preserve my farm for my children, for my progeny, so that it will always be a farm. I lost my point of thinking on the appraisal issue. Let's say it's worth, I was giving you an example. Let's say we come in with the appraisal issue and we say, okay, your farm is worth $200,000, the property here. But by going into this easement issue, it will be worth $100,000 now. That makes the easement value, 200 minus 100 equals $100,000. So then we as a board can pay you $100,000 for the difference of that, which hopefully will go back into the county. That's what we're talking about.